Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have before us a Williams Pat Hand pinball machine. This is a really cool game. I've had this one before. So I figured I'd show you in this video. We picked this up a while back. I figured I'd show you kind of like what to look for whenever you're buying one of these. Now, really all that matters is how much you pay for it, really, because I'll buy about anything. I rarely see one that I don't think I can fix. I can most definitely fix this one. But I guess it just depends on how much you're willing to work on it. So I'll show you things to think about and to consider when you're purchasing one. All right? Now, I have been emailed, called, corresponded with tons of people all around the world who, just like me, don't really mind if they're all beat up. They'll buy them anyway and fix them up because they've got soul. You know what I mean? The things are they're cool games. This is an interesting design, this particular one. So usually you can get it pretty inexpensively too. So if you're interested in one that's a little different than what you usually see, this might be a good idea for you. But like I said, I'm not the only one that's crazy enough to fix up these ones that are beat all to crap. So the first thing that you notice from a distance, hat tip to Nancy Griffith, is the cabinet is very faded. Originally this would have been like a hot pink on the sides, and now it's a really light pink. This is a Williams. The Bally Kiss machine did the exact same thing. Originally it was like an orangish, that Kiss orange, and they all fade. It's hard to find one that's not just completely faded. I don't know if there would be anything on this where I could show you the original. Oh yeah, if I can get into it. Let me see if I've got the keys. The lockdown bar may be covering up some pink paint. Pink paint. At the time, Williams and we did a Chicago coin just recently that had the same kind of thing going on. They were using kind of this neonish paint because they wanted everything to stand up. People were telling me that day glow is one name for it. Here we go. Are you ready for this? So you can see you can see the deal, right? Look at that. Look how much that's faded. So if you imagine that color all the way around, you can imagine how beautiful this thing would be. Hot pink, you know. And it kind of matches the back glass. There's a lot of hot pink in the back glass. On my camera display here, it looks like it's bleaching that out, so you might not be able to see that. But it is like hot pink. I mean, 1982 going to the club hot pink, right? So, yeah. So this thing is really faded. So it just kind of depends on if that bothers you or not. Me personally, it doesn't bother me at all. Depending on the game, if you're doing it for yourself, you could just repaint it all. There's different levels of paint ability, you know. If you're starting with one like this where it's beat all to crap, just paint it by hand. I mean, you can't make it look too much worse than it already is, you know. But the upper end of it is using basically automotive quality paint with stenciling and all of that. So, you know, if I was looking to buy this, just the condition of the paint on the cabinet, when I buy something from somebody, I don't like to knock it down. So I wouldn't say, oh, look at the paint. Oh, yeah, it's horrible. I don't want it. Right? Because you're setting up this weird situation where on one hand you're trying to buy it, on the other hand you're saying it's a piece of crap. I don't like that. The way I would negotiate on something like this is I would say, wow, look how much it's faded. That is incredible. This thing's been through a lot, but it's still pretty solid. Looks like most everything's there. You know, for one in this condition, I could go whatever you decide you want to pay. So you don't have to. You can point out things that are wrong with it without trashing the thing, right? Whenever you're trying to buy something from somebody, a lot of people they want to believe in their head, especially something like this that has a lot of nostalgia in it. Like maybe this was, they used to play it when they were a kid, their granddad had it in the basement or something, or their dad had it in the basement. You don't want to like talk trash about it. You want them to think that you're going to take it and fix it and it'll live on after they get rid of it. And they will appreciate that more sometimes than the amount of money that they make off of it. So I've bought a ton of games just by having a positive attitude and because they know that I'm going to fix the thing. If I get it, it's going to get fixed one way or the other. I don't part out a damn thing. Right? So the cabinet is pretty rough on this one. That can be repainted pretty easily, though, in my opinion, at varying levels of skill. You know what I mean? I mean, you can repaint it pretty easy, but to make it look good, it's a lot harder. But it could be repainted. Now, the two things that can't really be fixed are if the playfield is just destroyed, hard to fix that, and if the back glass is destroyed, hard to fix that. We've entered a new era where you can get most of the back glasses because you can print it on a translite or something like that. And they don't look as good as the original ones, but they're better than having a really screwed up original one. This particular one, at first glance, looks pretty good. But the part of the back glasses that mess up are where all the lights are. So if you get a little closer, like someone who didn't know what they were doing, they'd say, oh man, look, the back glass has still got all of the art. It looks great. It does, but as soon as we light it up, it ain't going to look so great. Look at, for instance, this tan color, right? See all those little spots? That's where the paint is flaking off. See it here? And once it's doing it to one color, everywhere that color appears is probably going to have the same problem. So in this instance, it's on the title. So you see all those little dots? Every one of those is going to let light shine through it. So that's going to look real kind of faded. It's not quite right. Another thing you'll see is, see this red here? If I get really close to it, see how it's a different color? That's because every one of those little marks is where the red paint has separated from the back glass. And you can imagine what that's going to look like once we light it up. The last one I had, this, and all of the cards were almost completely missing. This one's not quite as bad, but you can see on the ace there, it's slipping, you know what I mean? So this back glass is actually not in great shape. It's probably, you know, I would say this is a 6 out of a 10. Whereas from 5 feet with no power on it, looks like it's a 9.5 out of 10. You can't hardly see anything. On these ones like this too that are real busy, where there's just a lot of art, a lot going on, like look at everything that you're seeing. It's harder to see that there's problems with it unless you really pay attention. Once it lights up though, you're going to see it. So the back glass isn't in great shape. So if you need a new back glass, you're probably going to be out at least $300. Really no way around it. You can do the plastic thing that I was talking about, but you still have to get a piece of glass for it, or you have to scrape all the paint off of this, which means you ruin any value this one still has in it. You know, I don't like scraping the paint off of a back glass unless it's just trashed. So for a decent looking back glass, you're probably $350. So that really is probably the most important aspect of whether or not to buy this, because we didn't pay that for the whole machine. You know, we got a pretty good deal on it. So that's that. So let's check out the playfield. But at least we're at a point where you can even get a replacement back glass. For a long time on a lesser known machine or a less popular machine like this one, nobody made reproduction back glasses. But now at least you can get like the translates and stuff like we were talking about. Okay, so playfield. On this particular model, these, as far as I know, these pop bumper caps haven't been reproduced. So you have to get them off. I think it's this machine, and I think there's one more that uses the same ones. So on this particular title, these are kind of unobtainium, or they were a few years ago whenever I looked. The first thing you notice is it's super dusty. Why would that be? It's because somebody stored it with the back glass off of it. Now, in general, that's not as bad as you might think. When it gets all this dust on it, it kind of protects the playfield, as crazy as that sounds. Because you know how the sides faded horribly? Well, the playfield probably would have done the same thing, depending on how long the glass has been off of it. If this dust has been on there the whole time, this thing's going to polish up and look great. Really, though, if you've seen my videos, you know that I touch these up a lot. So I repaint a lot of the wear on these. This particular one, in my opinion, is in really nice shape. There's some wear around the pop bumpers. This is real common on these as well. I think the last one that I didn't repaint. I put a decal around it that was like just the wrong color. But on this one, I think I'll repaint it just for giggles. This stuff like the skirts and everything chewed up on the pop bumpers, it doesn't even matter because you're going to replace all that anyway. That skirt is like $1. So who cares? I see a little bit of a problem up here. This plastic guard that basically is used as a rail for the ball to roll around is chipped away and gone right there. So the ball could just go right out through that, which it's not great, but it's not the end of the world because you could just cut one out of plexiglass if you couldn't find one. The plastics themselves aren't broken. The deal with the plastics is, if you look on eBay, there's plastics for every game ever made on eBay. I see something interesting I'll show you here in a minute. There's plastics for every game ever made on eBay, but if there's a plastic that breaks like on your machine, it's probably broke on all of them, and you won't find any on eBay that'll be the one that you want. Like this one, like this one. See, it's still in great shape. I'll bet there's 5 of those on eBay because they don't ever break. But if you've got one that breaks all the time, like if this breaks all the time, you won't find one. They do make some reproduction plastics, but it's one of those things where you don't need it to look perfect anyways, especially if the cabinet's all faded. I mean, what are you trying to do here? Now this particular one, it has some kind of crap all over the playfield. Like, I don't know what in the world. If I was just going to guess, somebody spilled a Coke on it or something. I hope that's what that is. It might be some kind of body fluid or something. Ugh. I hope it's blood. I'm just saying, out of the alternatives, blood would be. You know what I mean? If it's not blood, then it's got. All right, now for the inside. And again, this is just my opinion. You know, it really, to me, it doesn't much matter how the inside looks, because they all usually look about the same. Like, unless somebody's parted it out and stolen a bunch of stuff out of the inside, it doesn't really matter. And if they did steal stuff out of the inside, you can get them because all of these parts are on every Williams of this era. So they're not hard to find. You just go on eBay, they're on there. Or if you put up a wanted to buy on Pinside or something. Now, with me saying that, watch one of them be messed up. I do see something weird with me saying that. What in the hell is that? You know it would be on the only video I've ever done like this. Okay, so when you're looking at one, I was just saying, there's usually hardly never anything missing. So the chime unit can easily be removed. If the chime unit's missing, it's going to cost you $100 to get another one. This one's got it. Stuff like the knocker, you can get stuff for that brand new. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if it's missing. If the score motor is missing, including the actual motor that runs it, that can be kind of expensive. But usually nobody's going to do that because you can just... There's no reason you would take this score motor out of this to put in another machine, because the one in the other machine can be fixed. So most people aren't going to go through all that trouble because you have to resolder all these wires. You know. But you might get some idiots hacked it up and cut it all out. If any of these relays are missing, They can all be replaced pretty easily. The stepper units, if a stepper unit's missing, usually you can find one. At least in the United States. I know a lot of viewers are watching overseas. Overseas, it might be a whole different ballgame. But worst case, you could buy one in the U.S. and have it shipped over. But typically, whenever you open these up, you don't have a bunch of stuff missing. Usually everything's there. But on this one, the most expensive part of it is probably this transformer on a pinball machine. And this one, for whatever reason, for the first time I've ever seen out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, it almost looks like somebody has taken duct tape and put around the top of the transformer. It could be that that's how it came from the factory, but I've never seen one like that. That looks like duct tape to me. But, I mean, if it works, who cares? So we'll see if it works. That's another thing. I get people emailing me a lot for advice on games and stuff. A lot of times it's arcade games, but, you know, a lot of pinball machines. The transformer is usually not a problem. Knock on wood. We're looking at one here that obviously somebody's messed with. But typically, the transformer doesn't go bad. We'll see if that holds true on this one. But if your transformer's missing or something, that would get expensive. Probably going to be $100 for that, maybe a little more. So, things to look for. Okay, so let's see if we can get the back door off. So it still has the back door on it, which is a plus, but not a make or break thing, because you can make another one out of wood or even metal if you're skilled enough. If you have access to a brake, or if you go to a metalworking shop, they could probably make one pretty easy for you. I don't see anything hacked up on this one. Looks like everything's still here. We've got 16 score reels. The same thing with that. If you're missing score reels, they're all over eBay. And they don't have to be out of a pat hand. They're just any of the Williams from this era will have the same score reels. Same with these steppers. I mean, it all looks complete. So the only thing that I see on the entire machine, there's four things I see that are even noteworthy. One, the cabinet is really faded. So some people would probably prefer to paint the cabinet, but I'll bet this is one of those titles that no matter which one you get, they're probably all faded. It's probably just something in the paint, and whenever the light hits it, it fades. So that's one issue. The second issue is the back glass is flaking. Right, so that's going to be a thing. I think we might do our white magic on this one. Some of you know what I'm talking about. So there's that. The third thing is the transformer has duct tape inside of it, it looks like. I don't know what's going on there. So that's a 3. What was the fourth one? I saw something else noteworthy that we just mentioned. Paint on the sides, back glass, transformers tripping. And that's it, I guess. So yeah, so it's not that bad. Well, I think the first thing we do is, like usual, I'm going to work down here in the bottom so that we can check on that transformer. So I'm going to clean the bottom out, vacuum it up. I'm going to go ahead for now and remove the play field just so I can get to the stuff a little better. And we'll start going through it. And once I go through that, we'll plug it up. You could plug it up now, but it's my machine. I don't really want to. I'd rather look at some stuff first, see if I see anything out of whack first. And then we'll plug it up. But by the end of the video, we'll plug it up. So let me get the vacuum out, clean it up a little bit, and see if I see anything else that needs attention. Alright, so I vacuumed it out, got the play field out of there, and I've been going through and cleaning the switches, and I found something interesting. I want to look up on the schematics. There is a switch right here that looks like maybe they've actually replaced the end of the switch. See how that one sticks out farther than the other ones? I think it's designed like that, but the
top switch there, it looks like the contact is missing. Well, or something. It's like they resoldered it on or something. So, yeah, there's no contact there, so that might end up being a problem. You need to have a contact touching a contact. But I'm going to look and see what that switch does. It'd be interesting. So, this is the impulse cam. And this is another impulse cam, and then it's the next one over. Which may be, this may be the homing cam or something. I don't know what that one's called. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the sixth past the index cam. And then these are the impulse cams. So if there's a index cam, then it's cam 6. So again, index cam, that's where it finds its home position. Cam 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, impulse, and impulse. So if you have the schematics, they usually draw that out on the schematics. So let's see what it is. So it's the switch that's at the top of cam 6, I believe. Alright, so these schematics are kind of interesting. It looks like there's several pieces of paper that are taped together. They're not usually like that. But they're wider than a normal sheet of paper. So I don't know, maybe that's... I think that's bigger than legal paper, but someone has printed this out at some point, it looks like. If you need schematics for your machine, a good place to get them is the Pinball Resource. pbresource.com. They love electromechanical machines, and they have most schematics. They can sell you a set of schematics for your game, probably. And a manual, too. So, if you look here, usually on most of them, it will have some kind of little diagram showing you the score motor. So it says score motor. And so there's the index one that we were talking about. And then there's cam 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which they are calling the forward cam. And then there's an impulse and an impulse forward. Okay, so forward cam. And then they have actually drawn the switches, and it says that it pulses the out-hole relay. So if we have problems with the out-hole relay, it's going to be that switch that they've replaced or whatever they did to it. So we need to keep our eye on that. The problem with just replacing it is you got to make something. They don't really make the exact switch that goes on there. The Pinball Resource might have it, I don't know. But in general, you got to take something off something else, and you got to get the right length to switch. And if the contact's missing like that, you might be able to solder another one on there. It's kind of a big job. So we'll see if it works the way that it is, or if it needs a little work. So if we end up with problems with the out-hole relay, that's where we need to look. So when you're working through it, you're just kind of looking for stuff like that. Anything that doesn't look right, looks like something's been swapped, something's been tampered with, something's broke, that's what you're looking for. But other than that, I haven't seen much broke, but I'm going to keep working through it. So I've been cleaning through it. I cleaned the Jones plugs and plugged them back in. They were not plugged in. And we picked this up from a location. The woman that we picked it up from said, "Oh, we used to play it all the time." Oh yeah, it works great. There's no way this thing worked. The head wasn't even plugged in, even though it was on there. Right? So I want to see if these stepper units will step up and back without us doing anything. Let's see here. So that's the ball count unit. It's kind of working. So that may have worked just fine. And this is the player unit, or the coin unit. And it's kind of working too. Huh. Well, wasn't it on a 4-player game just now? And I hadn't messed with it yet.
So it's kind of moving. So I'm going to clean these up a little bit, and then we're about ready to plug it in, plug the playfield back in at least. You can see that they're not in great shape. A little filthy. So I'm going to carefully remove that spider. I'm going to use a little bit of very minor light sandpaper. Scuff up those traces, get them nice and clean, get all that grease off of there. And then put a little dielectric grease on it so it moves better. We'll see if that cleans up the issue where it won't step up properly. Well, I mean, it's stepping up, but it's not as good as it should be. So let me clean through those a little bit, and if I see anything interesting, I'll let you know. Alright, so I got those cleaned up. It's not uncommon on some of these stepper units where half of the unit isn't really used. Like there's only 2 legs on here, so they only move from here to here, back and forth. So all of this isn't used, all of this isn't used. This one's a little bit different story. It uses a lot of it. So I have all that cleaned up. It all seems to be stepping up and resetting just fine. I found a whole bunch of the little labels in the bottom of the game and glued them back on, like the one that says coin unit and the one that says ball count unit was broken half. I got a bunch more. But I think we're ready to slide the playfield back in. So I'm going to put it back in, and all I'm going to do is clean the Jones plugs. Just clean all the tarnish off of them, just to make sure that it's making good contact, and we'll see if that gets us anywhere where the thing will even attempt to reset. There's also a coil missing in the back. One of these, I think. Maybe I'm tripping. I thought one of these was missing. Now they're all there. Because there's a... Oh yeah, it's the plunger's missing out of this one. So because of that, I don't know if these cams are going to be in the right spot where it can start the game, so I'll probably rig that up a little bit. But, because this will just freewheel right now, because it doesn't have the right thing on it. But we'll try popping the playfield in. I'll make sure that's open like it's supposed to be. And then we'll see if the thing will do anything for us. Alright, so I put the playfield back in it and cleaned the Jones plugs. So we'll see what she'll do. Everything's reset except the first player score reels. I've got it plugged in. It hasn't done anything yet. Well, I like that. It didn't go to game over. It says same player shoots again, ball in play 2. Player 1. And player 1 is up. So we're in actual gameplay. Oh, she'll flip. Oh yeah, she's gonna flip. Got the nice Williams flippers on it, you know. What the heck? What are we hearing? We haven't worked under the playfield, obviously, on the bottom of the playfield. Someone has written me a note. It says, I can't tell. You'd think it would say clean me, but I don't think it does. Cool. CL Claire. I think it says Claire. I think it says Claire was here. Claire was here. Somebody may have done that in our store, but... Okay, so, I mean, it's kind of working, I guess. This is kind of anticlimactic. I wanted to start the game and all of that. Let me put the... You know what? I threw the pinball away because it's old. Let's see if I got another one laying around here. Well, we'll have to fake it till we make it. So if I'd like touch that, you think it'll hit my, you don't think it'll hit my finger if I touch that, do you? Yeah. Something still ain't working. Bah! Award for worst chimes ever. Well, we don't have much action yet, folks. I failed to repair another one. There ain't no way this thing ever worked while those people had it. I mean, there's no way. All right, now it says ball and play 2. Chris Ledoux. Yeah, I think we're just stuck in the middle of gameplay because nothing's working right. We've still got lots of issues, folks. So that's good, though. You know, we'll have lots of stuff to work on in the next video. So my opinion is there's no way in hell this thing ever worked while that woman had it. I don't even think the head was plugged in. So it probably hasn't been working for 20 years at least, maybe longer. Unless they consider this working. I don't consider this working. Let's see if we can get it to like... We haven't done anything with any of this. Let me see if I can get it to go into game over, and then we'll just try to start again. So it's set on 3 ball. I moved the ball count unit up to ball 4. It doesn't say game over, but the game over light might just be burnt out. The flippers are no longer doing anything. So we might be in game over. I don't know. It didn't count down the bonus. Might be that out hole relay we were talking about. Let's see if it'll do anything if I hit start. She's trying. It can't reset the bonus unit. That's why it was running a minute ago whenever I hit the out hole. The poor bonus unit is maxed out and it won't reset. Look, it's trying. It's like, look, it's moving just a little bit. It's trying to do it. The poor thing. The poor thing. Don't worry, bonus unit. You've made it to the big time. We're going to get you fixed eventually. All right, so everything stopped because it successfully reset the bonus unit. Right? Now, why didn't you hear anything else? It's because the ball's not in the out hole. But if there was a ball sitting here, the next thing it should do is kick the ball out. So I'm going to pull this switch down and it's going to think that the ball's sitting there. And it should make this plunge. Alright. It's trying. Needs a lot of work still, folks. Let's turn it off before we smoke it. I don't want to smoke it. Alright, so let's move the ball count unit back up to where it's game over again. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4. That should end it. Alright, folks, so there you go. We've got a little bit of it done. When you work on these and they're in this kind of condition where they're just as found condition, you can't really troubleshoot them. You have to go through and clean every part of the machine. So we cleaned those 2 steppers. We cleaned all of the switches on these relays. We cleaned all of the switches on the score motor. We found one that's questionable. We cleaned the Jones plugs where the playfield plugs into the mech board here on the bottom. We cleaned the Jones plugs where they plug into the back box, but we still got all the stuff in the back box to clean and all of this stuff on the bottom of the playfield to clean. So the reason it's not working right is because we still got a whole bunch of stuff left to clean. It's just how they are. I could try to go through and say, oh, well, it's not kicking the ball out. Maybe it's this switch. You're just wasting your time because it's a swamp full of alligators. You got to drain the swamp. The only way to do it. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed it so far. We will see you on the next video. Hey, you know how you can help our channel? There is a link down below to Amazon. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, click our link to take you to Amazon. It doesn't raise any of your prices. You don't have to sign up for anything or anything like that. It just simply tells Amazon that you went to Amazon through our link, and it gives us a small percentage of whatever you buy on Amazon, whatever you choose to buy. So if you're going to do that, link is down below. We appreciate everybody that has been doing that. And don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. My brother has a channel here on YouTube as well. Joey and I do arcade games, pinball machines, jukeboxes, stuff like that. But my brother Donnie, he does old buildings, old vehicles, and has a farm. So go check out his channel if you haven't already. I'll see you over there on his channel. I'm with him a lot of times. But I'll see you back here in 2 days where I think we're going to do the playfield next on this beautiful Williams Pat Hand pinball machine.